Great. So earlier today, I kind of gave you a 10-minute preview of where Austin Wireless is. It's been a big change since we got started. I'm going to get the notes right here. So today's topic is about the freemium business model. And quite frankly, when Austin Wireless started, we were much more philanthropic and generous. We wanted to give everything away for free, right down to the PCs that ran NoCat, to the volunteer labor, to the software development. Everything behind it was free, and initially that's led to our rapid expansion within the Austin market. What we learned, though, was a weird irony, which was if you give stuff away for free, then people don't really value it. They don't value the hardware, and they don't value your time. Our volunteers would often show up for installations, and they would tell us to go away, or they're too busy, come back later, that type of thing. Right, and the thing is, as you know, many of all the volunteers are very competent, highly skilled technical workers, and so it's kind of offensive to be told to go away, by a waiter who's making less than minimum wage. I mean, but anyway, it's that kind of thing. They just didn't understand, what we were trying to provide from the goodness of our arts and community spirit. So what we learned the hard way was businesses understand business. And the more we began to look like a business, the more successful we became because we were dealing with them on a business level. And again, that kind of went against our grain, right? And I know that so many of the organizations here are very much driven by a non-business motive. And so after 8 years, I talked to many of the founders of the various organizations throughout the world, and what I'm hearing is almost like a founder fatigue, right? And volunteer burnout, and networks shrinking. And it's because, philanthropy only goes so far, right? You can only do it, even with our open source developers, they're only working in their spare time. And if these networks are going to succeed, there has to be some cash flowing through them, because that provides the stability to hire contractors so that we can keep coding projects on track. And then also provide a level of responsible services to the businesses who are in exchange paying for the services. So once you start exchanging money, then it becomes real. So this is the website of the Austin Wireless City Project. It really hasn't changed so much in the last few years. So we have a board, a nonprofit board, and we meet once a year. We used to have a lot of volunteers. We used to have recruitment and training classes where we teach them how to, basically make their own Cat5 cables by putting the heads on and that kind of thing, how to build servers, wireless networking basics. It was very fun. It was like going to school. It took all day long, and Saturday was a party. But as we grew as an organization, I realized that my goal was to increase the availability and reliability of free Wi-Fi within the greater Austin area, and I didn't really want to be a manager of people and a teacher of wireless classes, right? Those were important, but was that really the mission of our organization? I know that many wireless organizations do have the mission for educating and training. I think I saw from Athens was amateur radio manship or something like that, right? And we had those people at the early beginning, but I think where we finally decided as a team what was most important was just making sure we had a reliable network, right? And so we had to sort of drop some of that education component. So what that meant was we needed to pick up the responsibilities that our volunteers had done, and we did that by watching their repetitive tasks and assigning them to computers. So all of our volunteer laborers, for the most part, were assigned computers. We dropped from 50 people to less than 2 people on the Austin Wireless team. Everything else is automated. Okay. So if you click on hotspots, it has a list of hotspots. Lists of hotspots are pretty universal. The difference about this hotspot, and you'll see it in like Wi-Fi Dog and Lisanfi and Wi-Fi and others, is that this is a dynamic list. It's generated every 2 minutes. So if a hotspot disappears, it drops from the list, a new one pops up. We have for the status online Flaky, which is probably an internet problem, and then the number of users that are online. So if I click on this one for Austin Motel, we can see that it has over here 8 users right now, and what comes up is the landing page for Austin Motel, and then over here we have a basic chat room. Here's information about the frequent users and the regular users, and then this is a list of the hotspots that are near that location, and then over here we have recommended hotspots, and this is just sort of an idea that was, in this case there are no recommended hotspots, but it's an idea taken from Amazon. People that read this book like this book. We do the same thing with hotspots by data mining our engine, and you can recommend hotspots, because sometimes it's the community in a hotspot that attracts you. You go to this one and say that's too yuppie, you go to that one and you go that's too punk. Right, so people tend to frequent hotspots that kind of feel like them, different coffee shops. This is basically the Austin Motel's local page, where it gives you the weather, it gives you nearby deals. So 1.3 miles away, there's this bar that's having happy hour prices, and there's this other place below it which has half off. And this is all dynamically generated. It's location-based services. It really works well in the United States, where a lot of the location-based services are kind of booming right now. And it's dynamically generated. So when you go to a Wi-Fi hotspot, it pops up with, we call them deals, and this is the deal distribution system. Over here we have local news. This is kind of interesting. It's basically pulling in tweets from various sources and compiling them together into a news source. So again, it's dynamic. It reminds me of the problem that Richard from Gosan Fee was talking about in trying to pull together local community news at a particular hotspot, and how difficult that was a few years ago, because you needed to work manually with each of the content providers. But now, because of all the various mashups, you can really get some of this stuff that's pretty relevant right away. Right, and there's again more free Wi-Fi nearby, and then it has sort of an optimized search. So if you're at this hotel, you don't know Austin, you just arrive and you go, where's the nearest Chinese food? You know, obviously you can find that on Google, but if you make the search highly optimized for the location, since the software automatically knows where you are, you can pull up really relevant local information without having to do as many keystrokes. So that's one of the things that we're able to do there. Finally, this is the kind of the new stuff that's also happening, is we're integrating more with the trendy Facebook and the Twitter stuff. And if you put this on here, then people can share their location with their friends on Facebook. And what that looks like here is, this is a picture of me sharing my location at this hotspot. And it appears on Facebook with my picture of their logo, and then you can see Matt and Nemanja sort of jumped in commenting on it. Now this is what's really kind of where it gets interesting to the businesses, because remember I mentioned earlier today that we started charging them nothing, then we went to $5 a month, and then $10 a month, and then this past November we were at 20, and we thought that was kind of the ceiling, that we wouldn't be able to charge any more for Wi-Fi for $20 a month. Why would they pay more? They could just go to the store and buy Linksys themselves, right? So why pay more than 20? But once we started telling them that their customers in their location would start sharing their location via Facebook with their friends, right? So that their website would come up in front of their customers' friends. That was appealing to them, because so many restaurants and coffee shops have Facebook, right? They have a Facebook investment. So, for example, if you click on this link, TechGate, right? This goes to the TechGate website. So it's automatic advertisement for TechGate to my friends. I have 500 friends on Facebook. So because I use the Wi-Fi here, I share my location. Now 500 people around the world have heard of TechGate for the very first time. That's really good marketing for TechGate, right? If TechGate was in the business of selling food, you might go and say, where is TechGate? What kind of food do they have there? And so it brings in word of marketing that they would have not been able to get to my friends. And so that suddenly was able to help us raise our prices from $20 to $55 a month now, okay? Now, $55 a month sounds like robbery to us in this room, right? But let's think of it this way. These restaurants on average, in most cities, are paying $300 a week for a newspaper advertisement. Tiny little newspaper advertisement in a weekly newspaper. And so this is actually getting them better value for their advertising dollars by just simply taking advantage of the social networks. Yes, Matt?
The trick is just convincing of that.
It's convincing them.
Ingrained in their
I tell you, I was nervous when I went from 20 to 55. I was sitting down at a table with this guy. He had 5 coffee shops. I was mentioning this new thing we could do with Facebook. It didn't exist yet. I wanted it to exist. And he was really excited about that. And he goes, how much does that cost? And I just went, 55? He goes, that's great. And so, and I checked the price.
Damn, 110?
It was, yeah. But see, the thing is, I know that he spends more than that on, you know, do you ever get the coupons that come to your house? You can get a coupon book and there's like 100 coupons, you have to like go through them. I mean, he spends a ton of money on that. He spends a ton of money on the newspaper ads. He has an ad on cable television, right? None of these things are as effective as social media. So, you know, we've been talking about for years, you know, can a Wi-Fi hotspot do more than simply provide access to the internet? And I think somehow we've stumbled upon kind of a magic combination here where we're actually able to charge some money. Now, it's not all about making money. I have to tell you that I have not even made $1 in 7.5 years working on this thing, right? So all the money comes in, goes right back out to contractors developing the software and graphic design people to make the website pretty. So people, lots of people around us are getting paid off of this until we, you know, really can figure out where to go next. So I wanted to kind of address, since there's a list of things here that we're supposed to talk about, is node installations, the freemium model. We got tired, like so many of you, of going out to different locations and actually installing in their network. That was fun at first, and it was a great way to understand all the different things, different ways it can go wrong. But it really scales slowly, and it's a drain on your volunteers, and it's a drain on your founders to have to go do site visits all the time. So with the help of Wi-Fi Dog and a very solid image, we basically now just ship the router to the customers. And what that looks like is they come to a website that looks like this. You know, it's kind of a professional telephone company looking website, right? They click on products and services, and what comes up, we call her our virtual sales lady, right? And she gets up there and she's talking about Wi-Fi. And it's, and you know, again, for us it's a little cheesy, but for people that are business owners that don't really care about Wi-Fi geekiness, they kind of like this, right? It's just, you know, so you click on her and eventually, you know, you get to a form and they fill out their information, right? And then that form turns into a contact form so we can follow up, right? And then finally, you know, it takes them to a place where they can do order online, and then we drop ship the router and it goes to them. So in many ways, you know, we're sort of copying the models of the bad guys, which is you get online, you order something, we send you a router, you plug it in, try to eliminate the truck roll, because that's one of the most labor-intensive stuff for us. So node installation is self-install kits that we mail you, all right? And that scales really well. Network support, that's what the $55 a month buys. We have a toll-free telephone number, and we have email support, and we answer the phones as often and as fast as we can. And from our research, this is really what most of the coffee shops and restaurants want anyway. When you talk about all the various things that Wi-Fi can do for them, remember most of them really don't want Wi-Fi. It's a hassle, but they have to do it to remain competitive because the restaurant or the coffee shop across the street has it. So they have to have Wi-Fi, but they hate it because it's always going down, it seems. You know, that's their perception. It's a pain. So what they're paying the money for is for our team to answer the phone and to say, power cycle the router. That's it. I mean, that's all. They just want to pick up the phone. If there's nothing to call, if there's no one to call, then you feel like a club, a Boy Scout troop. It's not a responsible, reactive organization for them, and they would rather just forget it, right? Okay. So then the next thing is third-party partners. Third-party partners are interesting because, again, that adds credibility. And so when I hear about the different groups here that have trouble working with the government or with ISPs or with whatever, that means to me that that unfortunately they're not able to build the credibility that's necessary to help others trust them. And I think that's important if you want to succeed in your community. So we've tried to be diplomatic with all the players, whether or not we don't trust them 100%. We try to relate to them. So our third-party partners have included the cable companies and the telephone companies. And in fact, for many years, one of the cable companies distributed our solution as one of their own. They would sell it through their own sales team, and they would deliver the routers themselves. That was actually fantastic. We've also, do you know, all the restaurants are supplied by just a couple companies that come in big trucks that bring all the food from a central place. They're restaurant supply companies. We've partnered with them because the restaurant supply companies provide them with everything from food to fire extinguishers to bug killer. Why not Wi-Fi? All right. And then also the POS providers. These are the IT companies in the restaurants that provide the credit card machines. These are also good partners, not only for selling Wi-Fi solutions, but installing them. So anyway, the last point on here is other revenue sources. Increasingly, we think advertising may come back to be a revenue source. That's what we had hoped for back in 2002. That's why everything could be for free. Users don't have to pay, the restaurants don't have to pay, there would be advertising. But as you know, local advertising hasn't taken off yet, but it seems to be closer now than ever before. So, any questions on that? Good.
What could I say after the big networks that